Hey folks, thanks for joining me on this next batch of shelf videos. We're almost at the very end of the actual shelves before we go on to the top ones, and there's only 7 more to go, but these are pretty tightly packed with a lot of games, so I'm going to have to go through these reasonably speedy. So on this shelf, we've got kind of a mix. We've got a Porter Games, who don't publish a lot of games. Not a lot of people are well aware of what they do, but when they do publish games, they tend to be pretty decent. That being said, there's 1 or 2 of their recent ones I've been a little bit less favourable on, but in their older stuff, I was pretty keen on. And then we've got Stronghold / Artipia Games. Artipia Games do some pretty cool thematic stuff that I enjoy, same with Stronghold. They've collaborated on a couple of these ones, so it's kind of like, take your poison as to which one belongs to who. Well, this one is definitely Stronghold, although now it's in the hands of Eagle Griffin Games, and that is Conman Automotive Revolution Driver's Edition. Try saying that in full all the time. Yeah, I just call it Conman, so does everybody else. Even the Driver's Edition is kind of pointless now. It literally was a couple of cosmetic upgrades and that was about it. But with Conman, box is way too small for a start. This thin box, annoying. It'll be good when it's in one of those. But you can see from the board, it's quite busy. Quite busy indeed. But the idea with this is that you are running a car factory. It's a Vital Lacerda game, one of the first ones I was ever, in fact it probably was his first one I was ever introduced to. And with this, the theme, really strong. You're running a car factory and it's all about efficiency. You've got to get the blueprints and you've got to get the parts and you've got to assemble them in the factory and then you've got to test them out and upgrade their parts. Pop the cars into your garage after they've been made and see what designs are good for you. And all the while you're trying to study for your certifications, you're trying to dodge Sandra. She keeps wandering through the departments deciding whether she wants to give you a little bonus or mark you down depending on whether you play her in mean or nice mode. Quote unquote, always play her in meme mode, it's much more fun. But this is a fantastic game with the caveat that it's very complex and very hard to learn. This is one of those games that I'm not a fan of teaching because the rulebook in this was very fiddly. Not a great rulebook at all, and there was quite a lot of little complexities in that. But still really love it when I got it to the table. It ticked that box of some really good meaningful choices, long-term planning, a super strong theme. I mean, I can get into the theme of this one easily, and it still looks the part. You get a lot of pieces in there, and different color cars and cubes and design patterns. There's a lot going on. However, this is unlikely to be in the collection when the Eagle Griffin version comes out, Carbon EV or electric vehicle. That one should be pretty much the same game, but with some streamlining in places and a better graphic design and, just generally some rule clarifications, and I think maybe even Paul Grogan's got a hand in the rule book. So I'm looking forward to that version. I didn't kickstart it because it was too costly with shipping and that, and it didn't have anything to really make me think, well, why don't I just get it at retail? But I'm looking forward to it because I haven't tried it on Tabletopia yet. I probably should at some point, but there's a lot of rules to learn. But yeah, this is in danger of leaving as soon as that one comes through. Bigger and shinier. Move those out of the way. Right. Oh yes, top 20 game coming up here. This is one of my favourite games in the whole collection. And my god, that was heavier than I thought. Artipia Games. This one is I call it the Game of Life. The game. The Game of Life Euro Edition. This one is just absolutely brilliant. It is a kind of weird, tongue-in-cheek thematic game where, like in the Game of Life, you are telling your story from beginning to end. In this case, you're doing it from teenage age to elderly and death. But it's a sandbox-style Euro game where you have a little bit of worker placement with these actions, but you're not blocking each other, so it's more action selection than it is worker placement. But what you're doing is that you are acquiring these cards, and the cards represent everything from little projects you can do, things you can buy, people you can date, jobs you can have, pets you can have, holidays you can go on. There's all sorts of cool stuff. And basically, you're using these free resources to acquire the cards, level them up, put them from start to finish, and as you level them up, you get more bonuses that allow you to get other cards, and you've basically got to juggle your life with the time that you have. All your workers represent the time, and it's all a case of how many long-term happiness points you have at the end of the game. The thing I love about this, though, for starters, it looks beautiful and colourful. It is a gorgeous looking thing on the board. But I have expanded this like crazy. It has got every expansion in here. It only just fits. Again, seriously, enough with this thin box. It's a stupid box size. But I have got sleeve cards for all sorts here. Child traits, group project like pets, children, dates. Oh god, the dream board, the second expansion that came out, the what are they called? The experiences board, I think it was called, that from the second one. I can't remember what it was called. You were helping out the community. It was like a community expansion. So you were your popularity track and stuff. You know, so you could live your life from teenage age saying, I'm going to grow a bonsai tree, and then I'm going to become a ninja, and then join a biker gang. Oh, I fancy that house. Wouldn't mind a little pet dog. I'm going to date Sheila. I could have a job as a graphic artist and then level up to become an astronaut. And, you know, while I'm at it, I suppose it couldn't hurt if I just do some babysitting for, you know, Daisy across the street. And, oh, look, I've won the lottery. Fantastic. And it's so much fun. It all comes down to getting immersed in that theme, because you are telling stories as you go through. For, you know, that whole board games that tell stories thing from Ignacy, oh god, it is like personified in this game. Because whether you win or lose, the story of your life is the funny part, especially when you look at everybody else's story and you just laugh at how ridiculous some people's lives get, and sometimes how much more true to real life they can actually get at times. I mean, first time I played this, I think it was my first Essen trip, and I tried to create myself. So I created a gamer slash, you know, geeky nerd, you know, with, you know, trying to get a business type job and, you know, no date. It was kind of, yeah, oh god, yeah, where's the violin? But, yeah, it was just so much fun, and this was like with randoms. But if I play this with friends, oh my god, we have such a blast. I mean, there's some friends of mine who deliberately will do suboptimal moves purely just because it's hilarious what they're planning to do. It's just a brilliant, fantastic game. It is severely underrated. Well, I think it's underrated. It's got the popularity, but you never see this being played. I'm the one who brings it to the table, so I don't know where everybody else has got a copy. So I would say, yeah, this one deserved a lot more buzz. Really enjoyed this one. Right, this one, I don't know if it's going to be in the collection much longer, because, actually, no, we'll put that to the side, and that to the side, because I want to stay on Stronghold for a second. Oh, Blast from the Past. Here's one for your nostalgic. Survive, Escape from Atlantis, 30th Anniversary Edition. I'm surprised it's actually still in the collection, because I have not played this in a long time. Not to say it's a bad game, I really love it, because this was a game from my childhood. And when it was called Escape from Atlantis, and I had the plastic terrain pieces that were 3D. You had the spinny thing with the ball bearing to do the moves, and you still had sharks and sea monsters. But this is about as cutthroat a game as I can be even remotely comfortable with. You were just trying to get your survivors off an island, and to hell with everybody else. So if they get eaten, great. Fantastic. Oh, I get to move a shark? Oh well, dun 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 dun, and then it gobbles up the other players. But they're doing it to you too. It is mean, it is nasty, and I have to be very careful how I play this. There are some people I play this with who will just deliberately go for me just because I win games. And it's like, well, if you do that while not trying to benefit yourself, then the game's no fun. But, you know, if you play this with a group that just wants to eat up everybody while trying to actually win themselves, then this game is a blast. It's just silly fun, really mean. It kind of, I suppose it stayed in the collection mainly because of nostalgia. You know, it's like this was one of my favourite games as a kid. I don't really want to get rid of it because this is still a really cool version. You know, upgraded pieces and everything. To be honest, the only thing that is annoying is that the graphic design with the dolphin tiles are kind of misleading when you throw in the mini expansions. I mean, they're great. I like the mini expansions, but the graphic design doesn't quite match what the card is meant to do. It's a little confusing, but I do recommend getting the mini expansions for this. But yeah, one from my childhood. Nice to enjoy it. Right, let's go back to a Porter Games now. This is my favourite Porter game they've ever done. Automania. Seal of Excellence in the Dice Tower. I think I would, maybe I probably wouldn't go quite that high, but I would certainly give this like a 8 out of 10. I mean, this is a really fun game. And where I talked about Conman, building a car factory, well, this is about the same thing, except you're building the car every turn. Most of those other heavy games, you have to kind of wait 5 hours before you actually build a car. It goes for all those purposes. Here, though, the second you take your first tile off this grid, where it's kind of like a row versus column action selection, as soon as you take that tile, build a car. Instantly. Was it going to be a 4x4 or a sports car or a little mini saloon or whatever? It's like, you instantly build one. But what you're doing in this is that you are effectively trying to meet the demands of the American and European markets. And this is light. I mean, this is a light game. Don't think it's a boring Euro game. But the tiles you upgrade your personal factory with so that the cars that you put through are more popular. They've got brakes, handling, safety, whatever. And as you go through at the end of the round, you get your cars onto these ships depending on how popular they're going to be. But their popularity is determined by these two markets, as they say, or demand markets, where in each one of the two markets you can see whether the people they favour safety over everything else, or whether they care about luggage space, or they care about top speed. And so you are trying to amend your factory to meet those demands, pick your markets, and build the right cars at the right time. It sounds more complicated than it actually is, but this is just a really good fun game. And the cartoony look, I think, put off a lot of people. That's why it didn't sell as well. But my God, this is underrated. Definitely underrated. It's simple to learn. It's fast without the slow players. There are some people I know who try to think too hard in this game, and so get out of this game. But, intuitive graphic design, just straight up car making. If you like car making as a theme, like I do, then this is definitely one to look at, because it's just nice, simple, and family weight? No, I wouldn't call it family weight, but maybe if your kids are used to games, I think they could get used to this one as well. But I want to get this to the table more often, even on Tabletopia, because it is actually a really solid game and more people need to be aware of it. Right, slightly less so, Santa Maria, also from Automata Games. Now, this is one of the top contenders for possibly leaving the collection. I do enjoy it, but it is super dry. There is not an ounce of theme in this whole Conquisitor, type thing. And it is basically a Euro game with mechanics. You have got a grid where you draft these dice, you use them in order to trigger the rows and columns, get various resources and powers from the tiles, all while leveling up on various tracks and collecting other tiles. It's, as I say, it is bone dry. The theme makes no difference. But I've expanded this recently, and I kind of want to try the expansion before I think of selling it. It does have a solo mode though, so maybe I could get this out for some solo play in the future. Maybe that might rekindle it a bit. But I do enjoy the puzzle that's in here with the grid, that you build your map how you see, try and get some combos, you've got multiple paths to victory. I do like all of that, especially with the tension for drafting the dice in the first place with the other players there. But for some reason, we've just never really brought it out. And even my friend's kind of sold his copy because he knows I've got this one. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Do I want to keep it? Do I not? I think I really need to get this to the table fast to find out, because it really is one of those I don't know. It's it'd be a shame to get rid of it if I actually found out, no, this is actually worth keeping. But I wish it had a bit more theme. Just a speech of theme, just a tiny bit of theme, but no. It's, it's drafting dice and using a grid to your best effect. Okay, the puzzle is fun, but for crying out loud, just a teensy bit, I don't know. So yeah, 5 games. That is Stronghold / Autotopia with Automata Games. So we're going to move on to Hutch and Friends next time, I believe. I think that's how you pronounce it. 4 games on the next shelf, and well, I say Hutch and Friends. One of them technically is also, I believe, R&R games, but you'll see when we get to it. So until then, see you on the next show. Take care, stay safe, and later.